Lunch Academic Coaching. Here with a video for you entitled, So You Have a Learning Disorder and You're Headed Off to College. Within this video is some practical information that every student and parent of a student diagnosed with a learning-related disorder needs to know about success at college. First off, congratulations if you're a recent high school graduate, and for those of you headed off to college, you must be excited. Oh, the excitement and the anxiety. We like to say, eustress and distress. Eustress is the good kind of stress, distress is the bad kind of stress, and the bottom line to that is those feelings that part of you that can't wait to get started on pursuing your dreams and moving ahead into adulthood, and the other part of you saying, I wonder what I've gotten myself into. Well, besides some of the more social related anxieties that you have, like who will I meet, what will the people be like, should I get my hair cut before I go, will I get along with my roommate, am I going to be able to find my classes, and different things like that. In this video, I'm going to cover the academic stressors that are common to individuals with a history of a learning disorder, how those earlier experiences can negatively affect your performance when at college, and along the way give you some tips to help you be successful at college so you can get the most out of your education. And we're going to start off with a little bit of the history of how it probably started for you. It may or may not have, but that's how we're going to start here. And chances are, if you had any type of academic help in high school, sometimes through what they call an IEP or a 504 plan, if you've been diagnosed with what they call a learning disorder, whether you've received help in reading, writing, math, written expression, and whether or not you've been diagnosed with an expressive language problem, ADHD, auditory, visual processing, or one of those many diagnoses that can interfere with your ability to take on academic information, I'm here to tell you that you can handle college. Alright, let's take a look at the past. When you were young, when in the second or third grade, you were probably taken out of your class for a day or two and taken to a room and given a bunch of tests by someone you probably didn't know. You were told to do goofy things like put blocks together, maybe puzzles, and ask a bunch of questions. You may remember this, but you'd probably rather forget it. And not long after this meeting, you were placed in what they call special classes, with teachers at the school meeting with your parents, and since then you were separated from others at times to get help because they say you have trouble learning. Your parents may start looking at you differently, or they might be worried, or maybe a little bit disappointed in you in some way. You might feel that. Or teachers might start treating you differently too. Maybe giving you some information that is too simple, like staying on the same simple, boring math problems for 10 years straight. You may have been bullied or teased by peers because you were getting taken out of the classroom, and maybe you feel like you're different about yourself, like you're not as good as the others at what you're supposed to be doing. Well, we tend to feel the way we are treated, and those with learning disorders are too often treated like they can't learn at all. What does a learning disorder really mean? Realize that a diagnosis does not define who you are. As I say, diagnosis, diagnosis, all a learning disorder diagnosis indicates is that you learn differently. It does not define you and what you can and can't do in life. Tell yourself, I can get through college even though I learned differently. Rather than learning disorders, I prefer to say that you have perceptual differences, and here's why. We all perceive things differently. We all have strengths and limitations. Some of us just don't learn the same way as others because we process information differently through our senses, such as reading through our eyes and listening to lectures through our ears. And our school system wants us to learn a specific way. And that way is not always the best way for you. And school systems often fail to teach you the way that you learn best. Granted, there are some high schools that are better than others. As I like to say, there are good teachers, but a bad system. Just because you've been told you have a learning disorder does not mean that you can't learn. I remember when I was in the 3rd grade, and I have a history of lazy eye, which means my one eye would turn inward, particularly when I was reading. So one day in class, I was pulled out of the regular reading class and put into a lower level reading class, and I remember it vividly. And I can remember where the teacher was sitting, I remember where all the other students were sitting, I remember looking over at the other reading class, the higher level reading class, and I realized how it made me feel being pulled out and feeling different because I wasn't up to par when it came to reading. I felt a little embarrassed, I felt ashamed that like I didn't learn like the other students were learning, and this stuck with me. And this is not 1/1800th of how it is to feel like getting pulled out of class every day and going to a different classroom and getting assistance and such. But it did give me a little bit of a glimpse as to how it makes you feel differently. And my heart goes out to you that it makes you feel different. And I can understand that again at a certain level, but definitely not at the magnitude that you had to encounter during the time you were in school. Vocational schooling is an example which exemplifies learning differently. For some students with and without learning disorders, vocational schooling seemed to be a good fit. Vocational schools teach using skills that are often strengths with people who have learning disabilities. Yes, I said strengths with learning disabilities. Vocational schools often teach through demonstration and hands-on activities, which is different than public school learning, helping those who are better at learning and showing what they have learned in this way. So vocational schools often provide courses such as cosmetology, welding, health services, auto mechanics, and culinary arts. But what if these aren't your area of interest? And I like culinary arts, but it's tough to make a living unless you're a top chef. And I was never good with cutting food with a knife, as you can see. Well, just kidding. And, but maybe you found a particular class in high school that you were interested in or excelled in, and that helped you in choosing a program that you want to be a part of. Well, maybe you have 4 generations of going to a particular college, and the reasons for going to that college are because of family tradition. So for whatever the reason, you've decided on college as your future, and you want to be successful. One of the questions you might have is community college or a 4-year college. Well, for those with learning disorders, taking the SATs and ACTs can be a nightmare. Parents anxious and in your ear about preparing for the tests. You put pressure on yourself to do well so you can get accepted to the college that you want to attend, while your friends and classmates brag about turning down acceptance to Harvard so they can go to Yale instead. Individuals with learning differences particularly do poorly on college entrance exams. College entrance exams are biased against those with learning disorders in general, and that's a discussion for another date. But just know that if you have a learning disorder, standardized testing is not a good representation of how smart you truly are. Hopefully you knew and used accommodations that can be provided for students with learning disorders on college entrance exams. If you need testing to get accommodations, whether it's on college entrance exams or when in college, feel free to ask me about that, and you can go to my website and email me if you have any questions. Because of the difficulties that people have on standardized tests, a lot of students with learning disorders may first attend community colleges, which is a great way to start out. It costs a lot less money and helps to transition to four-year colleges. It can also help you adjust to the accommodations that you can get at the college level, many of them that you should have had whenever you were in elementary school and high school. If you're going to a four-year college, that's great too. As we've said, growing up with a learning disorder can be difficult to say the least. The experience in itself within our culture can lead to a bunch of things that certainly don't help you succeed academically. Things like low self-esteem, going into class and telling yourself, I can't do this. Low motivation, not having the mental energy to want to do academic tasks. And anxiety with the fear of failing and living up to your expectations and others' expectations, and not wanting friends to see you struggle academically. The good news is that people with learning disorders can learn academic-based tasks if prepared, motivated, and informed on how to do so. I found that many people with learning disorders understand things better than they can express what they know. It's like you know what's happening around you, but have difficulty putting it into words. This particularly happens if you have difficulty in reading, because the number of words that you use to express yourself is less than what it should be for your age. You tend to talk less at school, be shy, talk in brief sentences, or even give up caring on how well you do academically. Sometimes it makes it difficult to speak in front of others, like when you have to give a speech in front of the class. Some people with learning disorders compensate for their difficulties, studying more hours than classmates, trying to develop new techniques to learn and keep up with friends, reading even though it wears you out, and trying to hide your struggles. You can be anxious when taking tests because of the pressure you put on yourself, and don't do as well as others on exams because of the difficulties in expression and trying to get across what you've learned, as well as some of the difficulties in even understanding the test questions, all while trying to put on that happy face on the outside. Whether you are shy or outgoing or somewhere in between, you do understand what's going on. You just might have some difficulty putting it into words, whether it's saying it or writing it. You're a lot smarter than your ability to express yourself, and you're smarter than you think you are. And your parents will know that. That's why they say things to you like, I know you can do it, which sometimes increases your anxiety and puts pressure on you. What I'd like to see you do is let go of some of these negative perceptions you may have of yourself when it comes to learning. College can be a great place to recreate who you want to be socially, but in the back of your head you may still hold on to, am I going to struggle academically? Am I able to do it? You can't renew yourself academically unless you do some things differently, but sometimes you just don't know what to do. Let go of the past way you thought about yourself and the way you think others felt about you, and look now at what's coming ahead. College is mainly learning a new language in a specific area. Doing things like reading more often and listening to audiobooks can help build your vocabulary in general. Reading or listening to audiobooks specific to your area of interest may help build your vocabulary to what you want to do, and the sooner you start, the easier it will become. It's painful at first, I know, but most things that are good for you are. Talking to professionals and watching videos on subject matter that relates to your goals can also help you build vocabulary specific to your interests. Dealing with the negative anxiety is important. Anxiety affects academic performance. It messes with your concentration, your sleep, and can give you stomach problems like acid reflux, irritable bowel syndrome, or stomach cramps. It can also make you more irritable towards others. Being stressed for too long can lead you to be tired all the time and hurt your motivation. Taking steps to ensure that you have a good diet and regular sleeping habits is important. If you put bad fuel in the car and don't maintain it, it's not going to run properly. You need to take some time for exercise, whether it's playing basketball, walking, yoga, running, or whatever keeps your body in motion, to let out the stress. Check to see if your college has a fitness center. Do the things you enjoy to help reduce stress. The key is know what works for you when it comes to reducing stress. Is it listening to music, talking to others, taking time to unwind in a quiet room, breathing slowly, going for walks? And know what doesn't work for you. Bad habits are hard to break. Being prepared is a good way of reducing stress, so time management is needed. Visiting the college several times before you start classes can help reduce stress. Those high school nights of waiting until the last minute to study are over. And when you have 4 or 5 classes and you have 3 chapters to read in each class, you can't wait until the night before to start doing so. And you definitely can't study for an exam the night just before the test is coming, because it's not going to work. Learning takes time, and particularly if you have a history of a learning disorder, so give yourself the time. You need to plan and organize your schedule, you need a planner, and you need to use it. Again, anxiety affects your academic performance, and should you have problems with anxiety where you're worried more than you're not worried, visit the college counseling center. Don't be embarrassed to go there. That's what college counseling centers are for. They can help treat anxiety and help to build confidence and maintain motivation. Motivation beats everything, whether it's in college or most things in life. The number of students who continue educationally past high school is less for those diagnosed with a learning-related disorder. And for those that do go on educationally, the number of students that complete post-secondary programs that they've started is less than students without learning issues. It's what they call the retention rate. So you've started class, if you have a learning disability or learning disorder, the likelihood of you completing it is generally less. And the problem is all too often that students with learning disorders don't use the resources at college that are there to help. And if you don't know where to go, ask people. There are often plenty of services available, like free tutoring, mentoring, counseling, study groups, an office for students with disabilities, and even technological devices that they may already have for you to use. All colleges are required to have an office that helps students with disabilities, and you will benefit from utilizing the services. At the college level, nobody's going to force you to use accommodations or go to the office that helps people. You have to make that choice to do it on your own, and don't feel different about doing so. That's what it's there for. If you don't know where it is, ask. Some students don't know that the help is available. Other students don't want the help at college because they feel they want to do it on their own, or feel it will make them feel different like it did in high school. This isn't the case, not in college. In high school, there may have been that jerk in your class that teased or taunted you about leaving the classroom, and because you needed extra time on exams, and it made you feel different in a bad way. Well, great news. That's not going to happen at college. When you're taking tests at college, nobody's paying attention to where you are. They're worried about themselves and how well they will do on the exam, and they're not worried about you. Some people sit in on college classes and they don't even take exams. So you being missed during the exam won't happen. You're not the center of everyone else's focus, and get over it, and it's a good thing. So even if classmates found out that you do have accommodations, they want to be you. They would say, I need extra time on exams, or testing in a separate room, or how did you get your books in an audio form? If taking an exam in a separate room or using other accommodation helps you get an A instead of a B in a certain class, it's worth it. Think about how you learn best and what you need to do to adjust the information coming in to meet your needs. If you need to make index cards to help with vocabulary, do it. Does helping you write things down or type things help you to remember? Do you learn best by listening? What technology is available? Can you get books in an audio form or a reader pen that helps with dyslexia? Again, if you have questions on how to get accommodations at college, ask. Nobody's going to or allowed to ask for you. Think ahead before classes start, figuring out what services you know you need. For example, if you struggle in math, get a math tutor before the semester starts, before you start to struggle in the class and fall behind. College semesters are short. There's time for mustard, but there's no time for ketchup. For you to get the most out of the college experience, you will need the help from others, and that goes for people with and without learning disabilities. Get the academic aspects of college under your belt before you sign up for every intramural badminton team that's posted in the college union. You're spending a lot of money to enrich learning, and there are not too many badminton coach positions that will help support you in life. In high school, you spend a lot of time in class and generally less time studying outside of the classroom. At college, you spend little time in the classroom and are expected to learn a lot on your own time. Expect to be overwhelmed at first. The professors are going to hand out their syllabi, and you'll probably feel like running for the door. Know this ahead of time and know you can handle it. As a review, you just learn differently. Don't define yourself by your diagnosis or how others perceived you or treated you in the past. You're smarter than you think you are. Be your own advocate. Do the things to help reduce stress by being prepared, managing time, and taking care of yourself physically and mentally. Utilize the resources that are available. When you have questions, ask. Nobody's going to ask for you. Launch Academic Coaching is geared to provide a broad range of services that help you through the transition into college. No matter what it is in life, as long as you give it your all, you won't regret it. I wish you the best in your college adventures, and should you have any questions, please contact Launch Academic Coaching through email at tph@launchacademiccoaching.com, and please visit and like our site on Facebook, and like this video if it's been helpful, and please share to help those that may need it. Thanks for watching.